Ancient Egypt, civilization in northeastern Africa that dates from the 4th millennium BCE. Its many achievements preserved in its art and monuments hold a fascination that continues to grow as archaeological finds expose its secrets. This book focuses on Egypt from its prehistory through its unification under Menes in the 3rd millennium BCE, sometimes used as a reference point for Egypt's origin, and up to the Islamic conquest in the 7th century CE. For subsequent history through the contemporary period, see Egypt. Life in ancient Egypt. Ancient Egypt can be thought of as an oasis in the desert of northeastern Africa, dependent on the annual inundation of the Nile River to support its agricultural population. The country's chief wealth came from the fertile floodplain of the Nile Valley, where the river flows between bands of limestone hills and the Nile Delta, in which it fans into several branches north of present-day Cairo. Between the floodplain and the hills is a variable band of a low desert that supported a certain amount of game. The Nile was Egypt's sole transportation artery. The first cataract at Aswan, where the riverbed is turned into rapids by a belt of granite, was the country's only well-defined boundary within a populated area. To the south lay the far less hospitable area of Nubia, in which the river flowed through low sandstone hills that in most regions left only a very narrow strip of cultivable land. Nubia was significant for Egypt's periodic southward expansion and access to products from farther south. West of the Nile was the arid Sahara, broken by a chain of oases some 125 to 185 miles, 200 to 300 kilometers, from the river and lacking in all other resources except for a few minerals. The eastern desert between the Nile and the Red Sea was more important, for it supported a small nomadic population and desert game, contained numerous mineral deposits, including gold, and was the route to the Red Sea. To the northeast was the Isthmus of Suez. It offered the principal route for contact within Sinai, from which came turquoise and possibly copper, and with the southwestern Asia, Egypt's most important area of cultural interaction, from which were received stimuli for technical development and cultivars for crops. Immigrants and ultimately invaders crossed the isthmus into Egypt, attracted by the country's stability and prosperity. From the late 2nd millennium BCE onward, numerous attacks were made by land and sea along the eastern Mediterranean coast. At first, relatively little cultural contact came by way of the Mediterranean Sea, but from an early date, Egypt maintained trading relations with the Lebanese port of Byblos, present-day Jebel. Egypt needed a few ports to maintain basic standards of living, but good lumber was essential and not available within the country, so it usually was obtained from Lebanon. Minerals such as obsidian and lapis lazuli were imported as far as Anatolia and Afghanistan.